Found my husband and little sister in bed together. Found husband and little sister in bed together. My 22F husband 22 meters, and I had what I thought to be the most amazing, healthy, and happy marriage. We have been together a little over 2 years but have known each other 7. We met in high school, but never dated. I have a young son. His bio dad is what you would call a deadbeat. My husband stepped up and has been his father since he was 4 months old. My son and family absolutely adore my husband. He reminds everyone of my father who passed 4 years ago, suddenly of a heart attack. On our living room floor. My family and husband became extremely close, super fast. My husband and I started trying for a baby a couple months after we started dating. But, sadly didn't end up conceiving our son until 15 months after we started trying. Dealing with infertility was extremely bad mentally for me. I spent a lot of time crying into my husband's chest, after about the 7th negative pregnancy test in a row. We were elated when we found out I was pregnant with our second son last November. Global situation happened and put a bit of a damper on my pregnancy. So I had my younger sister 18F over to our apartment a lot to keep me company while my husband worked long hours due to global situation. My siblings and I, there are 4 of us, are all extremely close, but my little sister and I are by far the closest out of all our siblings. I basically raised her after my mom abandoned us to go and live with her boyfriend, 2 months after our father died. Would do anything for her at the drop of a hat and would defend her and be on her side no matter what. One weekend in April, my husband decided to unwind and have a drink for the first time in almost a year. He is pretty straight edge. My little sister was over, so I went out and bought some wine for her to drink so they could have fun a drink together, since I was pregnant and obviously couldn't drink with him. While we all played games and watched movies. It started getting late and I was tired, so I went to bed. I woke up around 1 a.m. and didn't see my husband in bed next to me, so I got up to go see if he was maybe playing video games still. I didn't bother putting my glasses on. When I got out to the living room, I saw with my extremely blurred vision him standing bent over her, while she was laying on the couch. They were both clothed, but it made me feel extremely uneasy and sick to my stomach. I asked what they were doing and my husband said he was talking to her. I backed to the bathroom and started crying, but just thought was being ridiculous and hormonal, and tried pushing it to the back of my head. Only I couldn't. The memory consumed my every thought and was driving me insane. But I didn't have proof that anything had happened and I didn't actually see them doing anything, so, again, I just told myself that I was being crazy and that they would never do something like that to me, especially not while heavily pregnant. My husband started to become increasingly distant and just plain nasty to me. Seemingly always finding something to fight with me about. Not showing me any attention or affection or time. Which was extremely out of character and unlike him. I brushed it off as him being stressed about the new baby. My husband and I bought our first home in May and I wanted all of our rooms painted before we moved in. My husband agreed, and my sister offered to help him. Fast forward to July, after 3 months of feeling like something just wasn't, and that my marriage was failing. I woke up one Monday morning 9 months pregnant, to an empty bed, my husband nowhere in sight. My little sister had spent the night. I put in my contacts and then went into the living room to see if he was up playing with a new kitten we had gotten the night before. No sign of him. My stomach dropped. The door to my unborn child's nursery was open, where my little sister was sleeping. My heart sank. My feet felt like cement blocks, but I slowly started walking towards the room. Only to see my husband on his knees giving oil to my baby sister in our unborn son's nursery. The first words out of my mouth was, "I ducking knew it, get out of my house." I'll never forget the look on their faces. I was so heartbroken and traumatized. I ran to our master bathroom and just stood there in shock. My husband eventually came in and tried to talk to me. I threw everything within reach at him and told him to get out and leave me alone. He didn't, so I pushed past him, The rest is a blur, and I don't remember much of it. Except hiding his keys so he could drive her back to my mom's house. He ended up doing so anyways. I'm still so hurt and devastated but can't bring myself to leave him even though I am disgusted, beyond hurt and devastated by this. I have only spoke to my sister a few times, trying to get answers as to how the duck she could actually do something like that to me of all people. Neither of them have an answer, and they had time almost every time she was over and I went to sleep. I have no want or need for a relationship with my sister. I truly feel she owes me more loyalty than anyone is this planet. How do I heal from this ultimate betrayal from the two people I'm closest to? Edit. Just to clear up some confusion. My husband did not groom or take advantage of her. She has said it was 100% consensual. My husband and her both have said there was absolutely no romantic feelings involved in it either. Just purely time. Also, I might add that my little sister has an extensive history with sleeping with grown men. But I never thought she'd cross the line and sleep with my husband. I am by no means taking the heat off of him by saying this either. Currently, a man 27 is serving prison time for getting caught having time with her in the back of his car when she was 15. Also, the dude had the same name as our older brother. She's just got serious issues. A couple years back, I found out she'd been using my time toys while I was at work. Obviously grossed me out and I threw them away. She's deranged and has boundary issues. But again, I genuinely never thought she'd do anything to try and ruin my marriage or relationship with me. She's also holds an extremely special place in my son's heart. I don't get why she chance ruining it. I'm so confused, honestly. Redditor's reactions. Story 2 after. Redditor 1, you can only heal by divorcing your husband and separating yourself from both of them. They are cruel and have zero respect for you. Find the respect for yourself and value your happiness. Your husband has proven he will not. Redditor follow-up. I totally agree. Get rid of your husband. You're fine. If it was my sister, I would have knocked her teeth down her throat, and I also would have embarrassed her front of the entire universe. She's a piece of shit. Wake up and smell the coffee. You're a strong woman. Stand on your own 2 feet. You don't deserve bullshit. Redditor 2. Sorry, but duck your sister. All these men out here and she goes after yours. I'm never that desperate to duck my family's man. And duck yo husband. Divorce him if you can after he did what he did. But I'd be petty and sleep with another guy first, but you are not me. Redditor 3, I'd cut both of them out of your life if I were you. That's really messed up. I'm so sorry. But really, what other option is there when you have been betrayed like that? Redditor 4, divorce and cut contact. This is unforgivable. But you're also young. I didn't even meet my husband until I was your age. Didn't even get married until I was 29. Process this, talk to someone close to you and see a lawyer then a therapist. Redditor follow-up, agreed. I always find it ridiculous when people marry that young and marry one of the first people they date. People need to go through a little bit more life before understanding themselves, let alone the role their partner is supposed to play in their lives. People often even need to get all the wildness out of their system, and once they do, they become excellent significant others. I find that people who never really experienced life much tend to be the most curious and unfaithful. Story 2, cheated on while pregnant. So my ex-fiancé M26 cheated on me when I was about 6 months pregnant. F27. I worked as a restaurant manager and took a week off from work to fly out to Europe. That's where I grew up to see my family for the first time since the pregnancy, before it was too late to fly. When I got back home, there was a facial scrub in my shower that didn't belong to me. I freaked out. I asked for answers. He lies. Complete denial. Thinks I'm an idiot. He goes, I don't know how that ended up here, maybe it's yours. I was livid. Cried all day at work that day. Asked again at night and he starts yelling at me about how I don't trust him. Don't forget I'm pregnant as duck here and he's putting this on me. Baffling. I then try to let it go. I decided to stop thinking about it and focus on my pregnancy. I know he cheated, but he won't admit it, so I'm just wasting my time trying to argue. Fast forward to 1 month postpartum. I get in a car accident, wasn't at fault, no injuries. But my car gets totaled. Great. So now I'm faced with a big decision. Do I want to drop thousands on a new car, or do I want to leave him and move back to Europe with our son? Somehow owning a car made me feel attached to the US. I don't know why it did, but it was sort of a big commitment. If I buy a new car, that means I'm staying here and moving forward. A week later, he comes home from work. I sat him down and said, I'm not going to spend thousands on a vehicle if you can't admit that you had unprotected time with some girl in our home. I'd much rather sell all my stuff and leave. His jaw dropped. He thought I'd let it go and he was off the hook. But he admitted to cheating. FYI, I had a fragile cervix during pregnancy, which caused heavy bleeding during intercourse, had to go to the ER twice, and had horrible nausea the entire time. So yeah. Time drive wasn't the best, but I still tried. He's my first child. I wasn't going to risk an early labor for some DCK. Just jerk off for a bit, don't duck someone in our home. 3 months later I fly back home, and I've been a happy single mother ever since. Best decision I ever made. I'm really proud of myself for leaving. I don't think I deserve to be with someone who would betray me when I need them the most in such a horrible way. I think cheating in your home is 10 times worse. Yes, he is the father of my child and I won't come between them, but I'm glad I left him. He gave me the most beautiful gift anyone has ever given me, but he lost all of my respect after that. Redditors' reactions. Redditor 1, I hate to see the family broke up, but your ex is APS. A guy who can cheat on his pregnant in the marital home is a real degenerate. You did the right thing. If you stayed, you'd have a lifetime of pain with this guy. I wish you well. Redditor 2, if more women were like you, maybe guys would get the message and start behaving better. You can only be treated badly if you allow it, and you didn't. Good for you. Redditor follow-up, if more people were like you, maybe people would get the message and start behaving better. FTFY. Women can be just as awful. Redditor 3, you are an amazing and strong woman. That was an incredibly hard decision. Edit. I just want to add about how lucky it was that AP left something to find. Otherwise, would you have ever found out? Op answer, I'm honestly so thankful she did. And I'm also shocked that he didn't care enough to clean the place after she came over. I'm glad he didn't, but also, what the duck dude? In that moment I found that so disrespectful. Almost as bad as leaving your used condom in an open trash or an earring on my bedside table.